Shame is something that I believe all of us have experienced. We may not recognize that whatever undeserved shame may be the source of our superpower.
I'm Suzanne McDowell.
I am Terry Williams. I am the great-grandchild of my honey, and you're watching Who's Your My Honey?
This is so powerful. And it's so powerful because it sets up a discussion about intergenerational trauma, right? There's that. I hear your pain. I can see your pain. I can feel your pain. And then there is the resolution at the end, right? There's a lot of in between that we'll go through, but there's that resolution at the end where you reframed it and you made it work for you. And oftentimes this is what we do. We do this subconscious thing where we disconnect from our roots because this is our way of surviving as, well, we're here as Black women, surviving in America as a Black woman. You've been in spaces where many of us have never been in and will likely never be the majority, pardon me. And so this makes sense to me. It may not make sense to you, but this is what we see when people disconnect from their roots and there's that trauma. The best thing here is that you reframed it and you made it work for you. And so everything that you saw and you learned from your great-grandmother, what is her name, by the way?
Yeah, it's Annie Coachman.
Annie
People called her
Coachman.
Miss Honey, though. So
Miss
we called
Honey,
her My
okay.
Honey, but people called her Miss Honey.
All
Yeah.
right, so
Yeah.
she is Miss Honey
Yes,
today.
yes,
So
yes.
everything you learned from
We're the
Miss Honey.
honeys, actually.
we're the
We call
honeys.
we're the
Okay.
honeys.
All right, sweet. That sounds good to me. May I ask you, what year was Miss Honey born?
Oh, my. In the 1800s.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
like 1800s. You know, her story is amazing. But yeah, she was born in the 1800s in South Carolina. She moved with my great-grandfather to Indiantown. He died when she was 40.
Okay, so let's stop there
Okay.
because we have to pause and let that resonate.
Yeah.
The 1800s in
Yeah.
South Carolina.
Yeah.
So my family's from Mississippi.
Mm.
So my great-grandfather is from New Orleans and he relocated to Mississippi. And that's where my grandparents, my mother, my father, both sides, they were born in Mississippi. And South Carolina has so much rich Black history. So 1800 South Carolina, go on.
Yep. I believe they moved to Indiantown because my great-grandfather got a job with Seaboard, a rail company. And my dad told me that my honey, my great-grandmother, would take all the money that he earned and she would buy real estate.
Oof, look at that.
Yes.
Smart woman.
Entrepreneur, knew the worth of some dirt.
Exactly.
Before the word entrepreneur was a
Yes,
word.
before.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. And so, but when he passed, when she was 41, and I think he was maybe 45, 46, he was young. Then she had to figure out how to basically survive. Again, and I don't know what year that was, but it must have been early 30s. My dad was born in 1929, so he was born. But she had to figure out how to survive in the segregated South, in Indiantown, Florida.
As a single woman.
Yes.
As a single woman.
As a-
As a single woman.
And let's place this in context. Slavery ended when, right? So
Right.
she was born right after slavery ended.
She was.
And then there's the move on her own. Did she move on her own to Indiantown or he passed away in Indiantown?
He passed away in Indiantown. They moved together in Indiantown, and his job at Seaboard was in Indiantown.
Gotcha.
Seaboard used to have a stop in Indiantown.
And here she is, a Black woman in the segregated South by herself, making a way and became an entrepreneur through all of those things.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, you could stop right there with Miss Honey. You could stop right there.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I didn't really recognize it until this moment. But as a kid, I do remember that she was a big deal. I mean, I didn't really fully understand it. The word businesswoman hadn't been coined, or entrepreneur. But there were like these 5 families that owned real estate in Booker Park, and 4 of them were men and my great-grandmother.
Yes.
And
Wow.
Yeah.
and yeah, so she was a powerful,
that gives
and
me
then, to be
chills.
honest, she was like all of their moms. I mean, because she was older than they were. They were more like my grandparents' generation, maybe even my parents' generation. But she was just badass. I mean, I didn't make the connection. I mean, that's the other part. Like, even though I did appreciate her, I still didn't make the connection between me and her, or like.
And that's okay. That's okay that you couldn't connect the two. Probably.
Why does that does not feel okay to me?
I'm
gonna be honest with you.
It's traumatizing
it feels
for you.
Yeah,
because you feel like you permanently you permanently disconnected from your own roots. You allowed yourself to move on and become a success story without acknowledging the beginning, without acknowledging your foundation.
Right.
And so many of us do that because we're forced to. And what that is called is self-stigma. It's also called internalizing trauma. You internalize your own trauma. You were ashamed because I'm guessing now. I don't want to make an assumption. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I hear the South. You did not mention your great grandmother's education.
None.
Her educational
like
level.
4th grade or something.
So sometimes, a lot of times, that plays into the equation. But of course, we heard powerful, successful entrepreneur as a single woman, widowed woman. But I believe the shame comes from, and probably also, as much as we don't want to admit it, being Black.
Yeah.
Being Black in spaces where we're not allowed. And so another term comes to mind for me, and that's imposter syndrome. Because the birth or the conception of imposter syndrome is exactly the dynamic we just described.
At what point did you just say, okay, I'm an artist? Like, at what point in your life did you just say, okay, I'm an artist. I'm going to own this person that I maybe have always been since I was 6. Discovered it when I was 6. You were born with it. You were clearly born with a gift. At what point in your life did
did I realize I walked in? I would walk in it?
Yeah.
Probably my after my senior year, I was still drawing or whatever, but I was going to a school when they closed it because of the Gulf War, and I came back to Brevard Community College, which is in Central Florida. When I came back, there's a guy named Ron Hill. He was over African American Studies or something like that, and he was a substitute teacher one time, and he was in the art class, and I was sitting in the back, and I was joking with some dude, and he was looking at the art that was on the table because we had to do our homework, whatever. And he kept looking at my stuff. He said, "Who is this guy?" And he said, "It's Don here." And I used to sign Don, like Don Parker. And now everybody that I went to high school, even to this day, they don't call me Addonis. They call me Don Parker because I was like one word. I was ashamed of Addonis, but because I connected that with art because it's kind of like poetic, Addonis, poetry, whatever. I kind of I was trying to shy away from that, kind of keep that,
You're trying to be tough.
Well, I was never trying to be tough. I was always tough.
All right.
Yes.
Tough.
But I was, turning the volume down to,
Yes.
And he said, "Son, that's a beautiful name." He said, who is Don? I said, I'm Don. He said, "You do nice work." He said, "But why would you sign your name like that?" He said, "You have a beautiful name." He said, "Addonis." He said, that's an artistic name. And then everybody in the class started laughing. I was like, "No, I'm good, man. Good."
That's how it happens right there.
Right.
They
right
start
there.
laughing at you, and immediately you're like, "This is bad. I'm wrong."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You hide it. You have to hide it because they're laughing at you.
So at that moment, you went from Don
To Addonis.
to Addonis.
Yeah. He told me to start signing your name on your stuff as Addonis. I know it's going to sound crazy. As soon as I signed my name, Addonis, I had, this is the weird part. Nobody knew me. But it was fascinating. They didn't know, because I was using Don Parker all the time. Nobody knew my name was Addonis. Then when I graduated, I started signing Addonis. Then it was like, yo, my homeboy's like, "Man, my girl was talking to this guy, and you got to look at this dude's work." I said, "What was his name?" He said, "Addonis."
But it also means that you were ashamed of
I was ashamed of the name for a long time.
Addonis.
Yeah,
Meanwhile,
I was ashamed.
it's a great artistic name.
It's
Yeah.
amazing.
And it's a
name, I
great
know.
name. Addonis was a beautiful Greek god.
Before that, it was in the Old Testament, the Israelites, I was a Adonai, that's what the Hebrew Israelites used to call God in the Old Testament. Yeah, so they took that, the Greeks got a hold of it, took it, did a remix, and then,
And
you
now
know,
it's you.
yeah. But I'm spelled with, and I tell people all the time, I'm spelled with 2 D's, so I'm the original.
So
Yes,
you embraced your art at that point.
yes. Still skeptical, but kind of like, I didn't jump straight into it, but things started changing. Like, once I accepted my name, uh, certain people start looking at me different. Then you become a young man. There's certain things that you have to face alone and accept, and also accept what you're not and what you don't have, and live with that. And the world reminds you of your mistakes. They remind you of you're
Over
not
and
a
over.
perfect person. Yeah, and I think art was kind of the reason why I embraced it even more, because it's a place that I could go. When I was a kid, I could go hide. You know what I mean?
Like another world.
Right. But I could control that world.
Yeah. It's
I
your
could be the
world.
Superman in that world. You know what I mean? So that's what art, that I turned my back on it. Yes, I did, which I was really turning my back on God. And
What do you mean?
because God, he blessed, he gave it to me.
He gave you the gift, you mean?
My mom kept pushing it. You got to keep writing, Addonis, got to keep doing this. And I just, I didn't, I wanted to, I always wanted to keep it. I said, okay, maybe I can go back to it. But when God gives you a gift, you got to add on to it. You got to keep,
You gotta be grateful,
Yeah,
accept it and be
yeah.
grateful and use it.
right.
Remember
And then-
parable of the talents?
Yes.
If
the
you
10
don't use your
talents,
talents,
he
you'll
buried
get
it in the
those
earth,
yes,
and then the guy, and then
exactly.
he gave that 1 talent to the guy with the 10 talents. Yeah.
Exactly.
So yeah, I
Because
know
you
that.
buried your talent, you didn't use
Right.
it.
No, I didn't bury it, but I put a cloth over it.
I know it's a hard question because, well, maybe it is. Maybe, does something come to mind for you?
That made me shame?
Mhm. At any point in your life, and then you realize, wait a minute, this is the source of my superpower.
No, not not that I can really pull from my memory, but I do know that my grandmother was my superpower. I was never, I guess at some point I was ashamed, but not to the point that it stopped me. My grandmother and grandfather migrated to
Can I
Miami
ask
from
their name? I was just curious. What did you
Frederica?
call them? Frederica? That was her.
My grandmother's name was Frederica.
You're named after your grandmother.
I'm named after
That's
my
awesome.
grandmother
Wow.
and my grandfather, John, and they migrated from the Bahamas to Miami. And my grandmother wore hats.
Oh.
And that's why I wear hats. So as a little girl, I watched her. She used to wear hats and gloves. And she owned row houses over town. And she would collect rent from the people who lived in these row houses. And I would go with her. My grandfather
A similar
worked
story.
on the railroad. And so we were here, she was here, even before Miami became a city. So I think when I was little, I wanted to be her. I used to watch her, and I watched her as she did, all of the different things. She was an entrepreneur. She didn't own stores, but she owned homes, houses, and these were row houses that you could look in the front door and see the back door.
Shotgun house.
And they were down 4th Court over town, all the way down. In fact, my mother and father got married in one, and that's where they started their family, even though I was born in Liberty City because I was a baby, the last one to be born. But I think maybe the shame, a little bit of shame, was children used to call us Nassaus. And that was to make us feel different. These were little children who came from Georgia and other places, and they would say, and I used to say to my grandmother, Grandmommy, what is a Nassau? And she said, what does being a Nassau mean? And she said, it means that you're smart. It means that you're going to grow up to be somebody. It means that you're educated, and it means that you're different from those other children. And so when I graduated from college, from Fisk University, my daddy gave me money to buy a car. And instead of buying a car, I bought a duplex.
Oh, yay, like your grandmother.
I was 20 years old.
20?
And I bought a duplex
That's
in
awesome.
the Miami-Dade County Public Schools Credit Union.
Wow.
And the duplex cost $15,000. And today the duplex is worth $500,000. Okay? So I learned from her, subliminally, because she never sat me down and say, when you graduate, buy a house, when you do this. But for some reason, my mother and my father, who was a community activist, my father registered people to vote. That's what he did. He came from Texas to Miami and met my mother, who was Bahamian, and they got married. So I learned how to be a community activist and how to lift people up. And the only people who could be community activists were business people. You had to be self-employed. So my father owned a billiard parlor in Opelika. They named the street after him, and he owned a restaurant in Opelika. So all of these things are happening to me as I grow up. So when I graduated from college, I wanted to own something too. So I bought a duplex. So I think the only time I really felt ashamed was when I was a little girl. And what I explained to you, that's why I think when the little Haitian children started coming to Miami, I clutched them because I know what they were going through. Because the same thing happened to me and to
Culture
them.
shock.
Yeah.
The culture
It was
shock.
the little children at Edison, the little children in Little Haiti. They used to tease them and call them Haitians. That's the way they used to do us.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's my
Yeah.
story.
Yeah.
That's your Ma Honey story.
That's your mommy story. So, Mark, for you, because you have been so amazing and so successful for so many years, a lifetime, probably even before you were born.
Well, I mean, Dutch. Bit before you were born.
I would guess that when people say, how did you get here? You probably have a story similar to mine, and that you can, and I hate to put it this way, but share your resume.
I could share my resume and talk about the things, but I think I'm inspired by your story and by your story. And it reminds me of, my story. I was born in segregation, 1958, in a segregated hospital in a segregated city, to two parents who met 1 month after the Brown versus Board of Education decision. And they met at a social gathering where the discussion was W.B. Du Bois's Soul of Black Folks. Then the conversation evolved into what would be the impact of Brown versus Board on the South. This is in June of 1954. Brown was decided on May 17, 1954. My parents met at that party, and from that day forward, they never separated. And so they were bonded by My mother at the time had gone to Boston and was just back for a couple of days before she went back to Boston. And my father had just finished LSU Law School as its first Black graduate.
Oh, wow.
So they, my mother was working on a master's degree. My father was a newly minted lawyer, but he had to go do 2 years in the Army. And he ended up in the Army in Baltimore. So for 2 years, they had a commuter relationship before they got married and a little bit after they got married, back and forth between Boston and Baltimore. But the point is that my family was involved in the struggle for racial justice and integration from the time I was born, right? From the moment I was born, it was the consumption
You're steeped in it, really.
of their lives,
Yeah.
right? My father was a civil rights lawyer. My mother was teaching school. She was a union activist. They were consumed by and heavily involved in everything. The NAACP, the Urban League, the Legal Defense Fund, tons of civic and social organizations in this Southern battle and fight, for integration, for integration. And so 1963 comes along, the schools had been integrated. There we go. We're going to the integrated school. Now we go to the school and I remember kindergarten. One day before kindergarten, my mother takes me to another Black family's home and I meet these other two other Black boys, and says, you guys are gonna be the only, and you all are gonna walk to school together every day. Because the way things were set up is we lived in this all Black neighborhood over here. There was a ditch here, like tracks, and over here was a white neighborhood, and the school was over here.
They go over the track.
So we had to walk through the ditch, which was the shortcut, to get to the school. First day of kindergarten, in the class.
Kindergarten, you're 5.
We're 5 years old. They put us in the class, and they sat us in the back of the class, all 3 Black boys at the same little table. We were segregated within the classroom. And little did we understand and little did we know at the time. One of my earliest memories was kindergarten would end half a day. So we would walk home at 11:30 when kindergarten went out. The second or third day we were there, all of a sudden, we heard people yelling the N-word, N-word, N-word. Older boys chasing us to get over to the Black neighborhood.
Wow.
And that became a not infrequent occurrence, right? And so your race gets instilled in you, even in the sanctity of the little classroom. Race is not an issue, but they made it an issue by seating us in the back at a table together. Now, I didn't realize, or that dawned on me when I got to 4th grade. And I became much more aware. I remember when Martin Luther King got shot and killed when I was in 4th grade. And I'm thinking, that classroom, we were segregated inside of the classroom. And in 4th grade, on the playground, at recess, we'd play football, touch football, pick up touch football. The teams were the Blacks against the whites.
Oh, wow.
That's how you played on the playground. Blacks played Black. We all over here on our team, the Black team, playing the white guys.
Who won?
Huh? Who you think won?
Who won on a regular basis?
We were faster. But it was instilled in me in those first, this sense of race and this sense of, what it may have meant. Now, 5th grade comes along and I changed schools. My parents changed me to a middle school, a Catholic middle school run by the Christian Brothers. And I go to class and I'm the first, I didn't know it until I got there. I'm the first Black student to ever go to that school. And I'm in 5th grade class by myself,
You don't even have the sanctity of the other.
I'm by myself
yourself,
now.
yeah.
The class was, they had 2 tracks. They had they had the gifted and talented track. I was in the gifted and talented track. And then they had the track, I said, for rich kids.
You just have to be rich track.
And I was on the gifted and talented track. So this school was a transformational experience for me because you got in 5th grade, you were taking 7th grade classes. It's like an honors track. So you went accelerated. There was a lot of homework. They made you read a lot of books. And 3rd day, 4th day, I'm at the school and I'm on the playground. I was a ball player, so I was a football player. So, you know, I'm going on the playground, play football. And, you know, if you're a good football player, everybody wants you on their team.
Of course.
So one of my classmates kind of on the playground, so it comes in proximity to me, says, he doesn't understand why the school has allowed an N to come to school here. Well, you know me. I'm from Pontchartrain Park. What do you think happened? We went a fist fight on the ground.
Fisticuffs.
And interestingly, we got hauled into the principal's office. And the principal, who was this older religious brother, Christian brother, he looks at the white kid and he says to him, my classmate, if I ever hear you using that kind of word again, I'm going to send you home. He looks at me, he says, son, we do not settle our disputes by fighting. You understand that? And then he says, you get out of here. So
I feel like that's pretty fair.
it was fair.
It
was really fair because I remember thinking, wow,
He could have
And what
done
grade
something
was that? Just
5th grade.
5th grade.
5th grade. So there were a lot of racial experiences in elementary school, middle school, and high school. But one thing I got, you know, this incredible, you know, upbringing, which was so, you know, I lived in an all-black neighborhood, Pontchartrain Park, which is a wonderful place to grow up. And you got all your friends. And I played on recreation football, recreation basketball. I was, you know, very, very involved. And then felt like I was living in 2 worlds. Then I would catch the public bus. So I was 10 years old. My mother put me on, I had to catch 3 buses.
Wow.
Go to one bus, transfer to the second bus, transfer to the third bus. 10 years old, I'm by myself. I'm rolling to school. So I gained a real sense of independence.
I was gonna say independence.
I learned how to move on my own.
Right.
I learned how to move around on my own.
Right.
I built a whole lot of confidence in moving around on my own because I'm a little 10-year-old boy riding the public bus.
10-year-old black boy.
10-year-old black boy riding the public bus. In those days, there were no black bus drivers. All the bus drivers. And one thing I noticed, even though the signs on the buses had come down, all black people were sitting in the back.
Sitting in the back.
The white folks sat in the front. So the vestiges of segregation and the practices certainly remain.
Everybody knows their place.
Everybody knows their place. It's
You
the
know you
South.
gotta go here.
Everybody, you know your place. I know my place, and that means peace. But it was unjust and unfair. When I got to, and I'm telling these various different stories, I ended up, after spending 4 years at Christian Brothers, I was an athlete. I played football and basketball. I was on the city all-star teams at 12, 13, 14 years. I was a pretty good athlete at that level. So high school comes, and I choose to go to Jesuit High School, which is the premier Catholic boys' school in the city, right? And I chose it over St. Augustine High School, which is a Black Catholic boys' high school, where most of my friends who were going to Catholic school went, right? And I go to Jesuit. Well, Jesuit wore uniforms. And before I went to Jesuit, I had to go buy my uniform. So I was an independent kid. So my mom's like, okay, go buy uniforms. So I get the bus, I go downtown to Canal Street. I go to the place that was on the card. I go inside. And the man says, what are you here for? I said, I'm here to get uniforms because I'm going to Jesuit. He says, you're not going to Jesuit. There's no way you're going to Jesuit.
You must mean this other school. You're not really going to Jesuit. You mean the other school.
You're not going to Jesuit.
Yeah.
And I'm like, he says, you're not going to church.
Wow.
And he wouldn't sell me any uniforms.
Wow.
I never bought any uniforms. I walked out.
Wow.
So wait a minute, you had the presence of mind to tell him to kick rocks.
Yes.
That's awesome.
And I was completely offended.
Yeah.
And it was really like, before I even got to the school, it was like a negative experience, right?
So how did you, where'd
I
you
went
get the
home,
uniform?
told my mother.
Yeah.
She said, the hell with that. There's another school on the card. We'll go get, and she took me
Goodness.
to go get the uniforms, right?
Mm.
Just khaki uniforms.
Was there a time when you didn't see her that way? Or was there a time that you know, I use this term undeserved shame. Like I realized that when I got to Brown, I was receiving undeserved shame.
Yeah.
Did you have that experience or
Oh
did
my
you
God.
always?
Yeah, I mean, I knew her love before I fully understood the shame, right? And I think for me that's an important distinction, right?
Yeah.
Because I watched someone who did not have an education love on us the way that she did, took care of us at certain aspects. The way in which she didn't understand my mom when she got her PhD, and she's like, "You're a doctor," but she's like, "But you're not like a real doctor." Like these are the things that
You
she
go
would
to
say.
medical school.
Yeah. And so
Not
my
really
mom
a
was just like,
doctor.
I sacrificed everything. But like her mother did not understand that she wasn't a medical doctor, right? So I think there was a little bit, maybe not shame, but disappointment that I saw in my mom's eyes of sometimes our parents just don't fully understand the journey that we're taking. And so I think that was disappointment, although there was sacrifice. And then I think for me, along my journey, because, you know, my parents worked really hard. At some point, all four of us, myself and my brother and my parents were in school at the same time. Like when I was in high school, that's when they went back to school to get their degrees. And so like I grew up in like this really weird association with like education and attainment. I knew what it meant to work really hard. I did not fully understand the value of a trajectory in like attaining like higher levels of education, if that makes any sense. And I say that because I'm a kinesthetic learner. I love working with my hands.
Ooh,
That is
kinesthetic learner.
Yeah, that is the way I
does
process
that mean?
things. Meaning like I have to touch, feel the
Tactile.
thing, tactile,
Gotcha.
right?
I learned a new word.
And I say that because where I started feeling shame was in high school, right? When I started, I knew I wanted to go to college. I also knew that I had to go to college. I had no idea how I was going to pay for it, and I really struggled in in algebra, but I was excelling in all these other areas. But like that became the thing for me. I always also tell the story of like, I majored in, if you could major or minor in two things in high school, I majored and minor in the two Bs, boys and basketball. And so my mom hates when I tell that
Was this boys
story.
playing basketball or did you play basketball?
I played basketball,
Okay.
and then,
Loving
you know,
basketball.
if 14,
Yes,
you 15, 16, you start having your priorities, right?
Yeah.
And my grades started to suffer as a result of that. And so I feel like I started to feel shame because all of my friends in high school were getting like, they knew where they were going to college. I had no idea where I was going to college. They had a plan. I didn't really have a plan. And so for me, it was the shame of just like, I don't know where I'm going, but everybody else knows where they're going. I thought I was gonna be a WNBA star. Like that's where I thought I was going. But like I realized that I had picked up all these skills along the way, right? Like I was a big sister. I had thousands of hours in community service because I really loved being a big sister, right? I was in all these clubs and organizations because I love like the immersive experience of seeing like if this is something that I want to do or not. And as a result of that, that's what I spent my time doing. And I think the best way to sum that up is there's a Ken Richardson quote where if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its entire life feeling like it's stupid.
Oh my goodness. Say that again.
If you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its entire life feeling like it's stupid.
Wow.
Meaning that you have gifts and talents, but if it's misaligned with the expectations of society, I think that's where shame also shows up, as opposed to realizing.
That poor fish trying to get up the tree.
Yeah.
I'm going to get up that tree, and it's never supposed to be in the tree in the first place.
Right. And so you have genius, you have intellect, you have things that you were just innately good at. But if you're being judged by standards or rooms or environments that don't understand who you are or what you need to be able to excel, then you will embody all of what shame has to be. And that, to me, that's what my experience was in high school. And so I ended up winning $130,000 in scholarships as a C student.
Genius. Wrote a book about it.
But my GPA never touched a 3.0, right? Maybe on the way down, never on the way up. But like those were the lessons that I learned about, hey, there's more than one pathway to success. And if you can just kind of be focused on exactly what you're really good at and layer that on, the opportunities will follow. And I ultimately got to a point where I understood that and I could divorce myself from shame. But I would say I spent the last 2 years of high school very much rooted in that because I just didn't understand that my pathway was going to be completely different than everyone else.
And it looked like everyone was moving forward.
Yeah.
And you were. Yeah.
I've always been like really good at math and things. Like I'm a smart kid. But my mom was the one who I think it was 3rd grade or somewhere around there. Whenever it is you learn multiplications. I went to a new school. There was a teacher there. I kind of want to drop his name because Mr. Rohi. Maybe he's still alive, maybe not, who cares? But the point is, Mr. Rohi is this white dude math teacher, and he does this game in the class where he'll like do flashcards around multiplications. And you literally just stand up and he shows you the card, give the answer, he drops the next card. And it's just to see who can do the most cards in a minute. So I'm in the class, my first, or second day or whatever, and we do the contest and I get up and I do like 75 or whatever in a minute and I win. And Mr. Rohi was visibly unhappy with me winning. Wow. And I was confused because I thought the object of the game
was to
win.
Right.
But right. There was another white boy who had been the champion up to that point. And again, kids don't know. Like
right.
You're like, aren't I
I'm
winning?
8. I'm the age my children are now.
Like,
right.
You know?
Yes.
I'm the age my children are now, and I can't understand why. And things like that go on in the classroom where I don't get called on though my hand is up. When I win things, I feel like maybe I shouldn't have. Like
you didn't deserve it.
Right. And so somehow, something I said to my mom gave her a hint of what was going on. And the next thing I know, she was in the school and dressing down everybody and making them understand what was going to happen and what was not going to happen. Oh, and the thing is, I was embarrassed by that kind of stuff because, your friends are around, the teacher, like, you're trying to, but now I'm like, oh, okay.
That's that undeserved shame.
Exactly.
Right.
That's what I'm
when
saying.
it really is.
Thank you, Mom.
Right now, exactly. You can say that's why I don't take no mess.
That's why. Exactly.
Papa don't take no mess.
That's right.
Exactly.
But I learned all that from Charlene, and I don't know where she learned it from. Like I think she had to invent it as she went.
She learned it from being a 16-year-old teen mom and having to figure it out.
Yeah.
Like, you just have to figure it out.
And maybe to that point, like, my wife and I, we have these twin daughters now who are that age, 8 years old. And we're like, how the hell did Mom do this? Because we got money and nannies and tutors.
Yes.
And it's still hard.
Right, exactly. That's how I feel about my honey. Like, how did she do
this?
Just build all this and it's amazing. Back in those days.
Exactly.
With segregation and everything.
Right.
Yes. And they figured it out. They figured it out.
I'll add this one last little thing, and that is this. There is not power in conforming. There's not power in conforming. So many of us want people to conform and be like one another. It's great to be unique. It's good to be eclectic.
Yeah, but you don't realize that until you're like, when you're a kid, you want to be like everybody else. You don't want to be different.
Well, some of us do. Some of us don't.
Most people do.
Some of us don't.
All right.
Right? You got to have that. Because you were there to tell Sydney.
I was.
You were there to tell her.
I did her.
So see, creating and teaching our loved ones not to be judgmental, to accept people for who they are.
Suzanne and I would like to thank our executive producers, Kobe Proctor, Anya Mendoza, and Jessica Hurley, as well as the entire One United Bank, Circle of One Marketing, and Epic Media team. The Who's Your My Honey show was created in collaboration and produced by One United Bank and Epic Media. Recorded at the Hive Studio, this series is to amplify stories that transform undeserved shame into superpower, the resilience and leadership skills needed to build generational wealth and economic empowerment. If this conversation moves you, share it, subscribe, and join our community. Thanks.